A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television, your one-stop morning show for the top stories from India and across the world that you might have missed during the night, and also the stories that are likely to unfold during the course of the day today. My name is Aishwarya and these are the headlines. Parliament adjourned a sine die during the winter session. Lok Sabha passed 13 bills. Rajya Sabha passed 9. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu says legislatures, including Parliament, need to improve functioning to meet the needs of the country. Union budget to be presented in Parliament on 1st of February. Budget session to be held from 29th of January till 6th of April, with a one-month break for standing committees to scrutinize the budget proposals. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address the top police officers at a 3-day conference in Madhya Pradesh from today. Home Minister, National Security Advisor to attend. Counter-radicalization, left-wing extremism and security situation in Jammu and Kashmir and Northeast India to top agenda. Russia criticizes the US for convening the UN Security Council meet over protests in Iran, says US wrong in involving the UN in a country's internal affair. Iran says US abusing its power as a permanent member of the council. And North India shivers under extreme cold conditions of 4 dead in Uttar Pradesh. Dense fog engulfs parts of the country. US shivers in record-breaking cold snap. Stormy weather continues to batter Europe. Both houses of parliament were adjourned a sine die on Friday, with the Rajya Sabha chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu urging members to seriously introspect their conduct in the house, which lost almost 34 hours due to frequent disruptions. The Rajya Sabha, which had 13 sittings during the winter session, passed 9 bills. The chairman stressed that Parliament is an important institution to further shared socio-economic goals of the nation and urged members to introspect.
Announcing the close of the winter session, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu gave an eloquent message to the members of the upper house. Describing Parliament as a political institution, he said it cannot be an extension of politics in the typical sense, marked by deep divisions and acrimony. He urged members to review, recall and introspect about how the proceedings of the House were conducted.
Parliament is an important institution for furthering the shared socio-economic goals of the nation, which are critical to fulfilling the aspirations of the citizens, who are the chief patrons of our parliamentary democracy. Our nation is steadily evolving towards realizing its immense untapped potential. I have said in my first address to this august House that it's not on our side that we need to stretch ourselves to make up for the missed opportunities and time. The legislature of our country, including the apex parliament, need to quickly evolve in the way we conduct our proceedings so as to meet the needs of our evolving nation.
Chairman Naidu also stressed that not disruptions but intense and passionate submissions and debates are the order of democracy. He commended the House for speaking in one voice on larger issues of common concern.
The high point being that both sides of the House have reiterated their commitment to respect and uphold the high office of the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable former Prime Minister and other dignitaries. I sincerely hope that this spirit prevails in future as well. Another high point of this session being the way in which all sections of the House spoke in one voice in a restrained way regarding Sri Kulbhushan Jadhav meeting his family members in a Pakistani jail.
Chairman Naidu also thanked the leader of the Rajya Sabha, leader of opposition, the deputy chairman and the panel of vice chairmen, ministers of parliamentary affairs, leaders of various parties and members for their cooperation and courtesies extended to him. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the fate of the anti-triple talaq remained undecided as the government and opposition could not reach a consensus on the final day of the winter session, while the Congress stood its ground demanding that the proposed legislation be sent to a select committee. The government insisted that it was not required.
I have already made an observation on this.
The last day of the winter session of Parliament concluded on Friday without passing the anti-triple talaq bill in Rajya Sabha. Earlier, both BJP and the Congress reportedly issued whips to their MPs to be present in the House just in case the bill was taken up. Although it was listed in the Rajya Sabha's agenda, it didn't come up due to the deadlock between the government and opposition. While the opposition led by the Congress stuck to its demand to refer the bill to the select committee, the government was adamant that it was not needed.
मुस्लिम बहनों को, मुस्लिम महिलाओं को न्याय, सम्मान और समानता ये दिलवाना चाहते हैं और कांग्रेस के साथी इसका पुरजोर विरोध कर रहे हैं, इसमें गतिरोध पैदा कर रहे हैं और दोनों सदनों में दोहरे नीति वो अपना रहे हैं.
Addressing a press conference, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar said the government will try to take up the bill during the budget session. However, he remained non-committal about the possibility of an ordinance on the bill. Opposition parties, on the other hand, demanded detailed deliberations on the criminality clause.
इसलिए हम उम्मीद करते हैं जो जनमानस है और आक्रोश है, जनाग्रह है, उसके कारण कांग्रेस को पुनर्विचार करना होगा और बजट सत्र में ये ट्रिपल तलाक के बिद्दत को खारिज करने वाली हमारी इस बिल को वो पूरा समर्थन देना.
इस बिल के हक में है जिसमें 3 तलाक को खत्म किया जा रहा, उसके हक में हम ये स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूं. लेकिन इसमें जो कुछ प्रोविजन है उसमें आपत्ति है.
The Lok Sabha has already passed the bill by voice vote. The bill criminalizes instant triple talaq among Muslims. Panchanan Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And on the last day of the winter session, Rajya Sabha MPs also bid farewell to 3 retiring members, Janardhan Dwivedi, Parvez Hashmi and Karan Singh. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu mentioned their contribution to the House. All 3 are Rajya Sabha MPs from Delhi and their tenure is ending on 27th of January. Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha, Ghulam Nabi Azad, and Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad conveyed their best wishes to the members.
The retiring members have contributed significantly to the deliberations of this House and the parliamentary committees, and also in the process to nurturing and strengthening of our parliamentary democracy and in enhancing the dignity and prestige of this august House.
The disruptions are becoming more frequent. So all I would say is that I think we need to do a little retrospection to see what we can do to assure that the parliamentary system functions according to the rules and positively.
ये एक बहुत बड़ा क्षेत्र है और मैं तो ये भी चाहता हूं जब लोगों को लगे कि हमें रिटायर होना चाहिए तो दलों की सीमा छोड़कर अगर कुछ लोग आएं और समाज और देश की बातें ईमानदारी से कहें तो भी देश का बड़ा भला हो जाएगा.
मैं यही दुआ करता हूं कि डॉक्टर करण सिंह जी, द्विवेदी जी और हाशमी जी स्वस्थ रहें. नए साल के बिल्कुल शुरू में ही ये रिटायर हो रहे हैं, तो आगे ये नया साल उनके लिए बहुत अच्छा हो और आगे उनका जीवन और भी सफल रहे.
डॉक्टर करण सिंह पढ़ने में भी उतना ही तेज है, आध्यात्मिक परंपरा का संवाहक है, भारत की विरासत का संवाहक है और एक पूर्ण व्यक्तित्व. माननीय जनार्दन द्विवेदी जी वरिष्ठ नेता है कांग्रेस पार्टी के. मेरा उनसे परिचय सदन में आने के बाद हुआ. उनसे मेरी बहुत ही अंतरंगता हो गई और अंतरंगता का कारण हिंदी के प्रति प्रेम था. माननीय हाशमी जी सही कहा गुलाम नबी आज़ाद जी ने, अलीगढ़ के पानी में ही कुछ और है, जो वहां से निकलते हैं उनकी कुछ फितरत ही कुछ और होती है.
And the government has termed the just concluded winter session as successful. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anand Kumar said that despite repeated disruptions, Lok Sabha accomplished 91.5% work, while Rajya Sabha accomplished 56.29%. Now, during the winter session, Lok Sabha passed 13 bills, while Rajya Sabha passed 9. The Rajya Sabha also created 2 records when on January 2nd, it took up all starred questions during question hour and completed all 0-hour business and special mentions.
The winter session of Parliament proved to be special in many ways. Even as the Rajya Sabha saw a number of disruptions, it also created new records. In its 13 sittings, the upper house passed 9 bills, while 19 private members' bills were tabled. And the house also held in-depth discussions on the state of the economy and the national capital region's pollution woes. On January 2nd, it created a record of taking up all the listed business and starred questions in 0 hour and question hour.
During the 4 days and question hour was taken up, 46 starred questions were orally answered. Besides 51 members making 0 hour submissions and another 50 members making special mentions on matters of public importance. It is, however, a matter of deep discomfort that the House has lost 34 hours of valuable working time as against the period of 41 hours of business transacted.
Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan also called this session successful. She thanked the Prime Minister and the opposition for its cooperation in running the House. The time lost to uproar was also somewhat made up when the House sat for an extra 8 hours. Of the 14 bills introduced in the House, 13 were passed. In the 13 sittings, 61 hours of work was done. Among the bills passed in the lower house were the ones pertaining to triple talaq, salaries of Supreme Court and High Court judges and supplementary demand for grants. Besides this, the House also held a short duration discussion on Cyclone Okhi and its aftermath.
शाम को देर तक बैठकर लगभग 198 अविलंबनीय लोकमत जिसको आप 0 आवर भी जैसे कहते हैं और मैटर ऑफ अर्जेंट पब्लिक इम्पोर्टेंस ये उठाए गए। 377 के अंतर्गत 226 मामले भी उठाए गए।
Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar also termed the winter session a successful one, saying that the Parliament accomplished a lot.
8 वर्किंग डेज में 22 बिल निकालना मैं सभी पार्टियों को और सभी सांसदों को इसका श्रेय देता हूं और उन सबको मैं धन्यवाद प्रेषित करता हूं।
The winter session of Parliament began on December 15th. Even though the government had said that bills related to triple talaq and the OBC Commission were its priority, both bills could not be passed in this session. With inputs from Ravindra Sharan and Panjanad Mishra, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And dates for the winter session of Parliament have also been announced. The first phase of the budget session will begin from 29th of January to 9th of February. The Union Budget will also be presented in this phase on 1st of February. Parliament will convene after a recess from 5th of March to 6th of April. President Ramnath Kovind will address the joint sitting of the two houses on 29th of January, and the economic survey will also be tabled on the same day.
फर्स्ट पार्ट बजट सेशन का फर्स्ट पार्ट 29 जनवरी से शुरू होगा और 9 फरवरी तक चलेगा और रिसेस होगी 10 फरवरी से 4 मार्च तक। 5 मार्च से फिर से हमारा सेकेंड पार्ट शुरू होगा बजट सत्र का, वो 3 अप्रैल तक चलेगा। कुल मिलाकर के 31 दिन का सत्र होगा।
On to some other news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a conference of top police officials from all states and central police organization in Tekanpur in Madhya Pradesh, to be attended by over 250 DGP and IGP level police officers from across the country. The 3-day conference will discuss issues like cyber terrorism, impact of social media and radicalization of youth, security situation in the major combat regions of Jammu and Kashmir, left-wing extremism and the northeast will also be discussed. Home Minister Rajnath Singh and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will also take part in the conference, to be held at the BSF Academy in Tekanpur in Madhya Pradesh. The Prime Minister is expected to speak on new age crimes like cyber terrorism and radicalization of youth, while Home Minister Rajnath Singh is likely to give an assessment of the internal security situation in the country, and NSA Ajit Doval will talk about cross-border terrorism. The conference of the DGPs and IGPs is an annual affair organized by the Modi government since it came to power in 2014. An earlier Prime Minister Narendra Modi stressed on the all-round and inclusive development of our backward districts. He said that even in the states with strong development indicators, there will be areas that need a greater push. He was addressing a conference on transformation of aspirational districts organized by the Niti Aayog in the national capital.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked officials in charge of 115 backward districts to come up with pioneering innovations in the less developed districts. He also asked officers to include backward districts in the mainstream development of the country. PM was addressing a conference on transformation of aspirational districts organized by the Niti Aayog. Modi also interacted with officials in charge of transformation of the districts.
अब सामाजिक न्याय बस सिर्फ एक सामाजिक व्यवस्था तक ही सीमित रहने से होता नहीं है। क्षेत्र विशेष का भी पीछे रह जाना एक अन्याय का कारण होता है। कोई गांव पीछे रह जाए तो वो सिर्फ एक गांव, एक एंटिटी के रूप में पीछे ऐसा नहीं है। वहां रहने वाले लोग, उनको मिलने वाली सुविधाएं, उनके हक, उनके अवसर, इन सब में वो अन्याय का शिकार हुआ होता है।
The Prime Minister further said that government officers posted in difficult or backward districts should consider themselves privileged for the opportunity to bring positive change.
हम बैकवर्ड डिस्ट्रिक्ट बोले कि एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट बोले, देखिए साइकोलॉजिकली बहुत फर्क होता है। हमने हमारी शब्दमाला सकारात्मक बनाना बहुत जरूरी है। वे भी पूरी देर हमें एक पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग के लिए कारण बन जाती है। अगर वो हम करते हैं तो आप देखिए आपके अगल बगल में भी उसका प्रभाव नजर आता है।
The Prime Minister also added that the over 100 backward districts will be monitored on various development parameters for the coming 3 months. The event was organized keeping in view Modi's vision of creating a new India by 2022. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the growth in GDP during 2017-18 has been estimated at 6.5% as compared to 7.1% in 2016-17. This is less than the government's estimate of 7%. Now, announcing the estimates, Chief Statistician TCA Anand said that agriculture, forestry and fishing is likely to touch 2.1% in the current fiscal from 4.9% in the preceding year. He said that the growth in manufacturing sector is also expected to deaccelerate to 4.6% this fiscal, down from 7.9% in 2016-17. However, electricity, gas, water supply and other utility services sector is expected to grow by 7.5% as compared to a growth of 7.2% in 2016-17. The construction sector is also expected to grow by 3.6% as compared to a growth of 1.7% in the last fiscal. Meanwhile, the growth rate in per capita income is estimated at 5.3% during 2017-18 as against 5.7% in the previous year.
फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में 5.7 आ गई थी, सेकेंड क्वार्टर में 6.3 थी। अब आप उसी को यदि देखते हुए इससे आकलन लगाए कि हम अगले 2 क्वार्टर के लिए क्या अंदाज लगा रहे हैं, तो अगले 2 क्वार्टर के लिए मैं ग्रोथ का अंदाज 7% लगा रहा हूं। तो मतलब जो मैंने सेकेंड क्वार्टर के टाइम पे बोला था कि ये इंक्रीज का ट्रेंड मेंटेन रहेगा, वो इसमें दर्शा रहा है।
On to some other news, BJP President Amit Shah will begin his 2-day visit to the poll-bound states of Meghalaya and Tripura today. Amit Shah will sound the poll bugle in Meghalaya on the first day of his visit. He will address a public rally in Tikrikila in Garo Hills, the stronghold of Chief Minister Mukul Sangma, at around 11 in the morning. He will also inaugurate BJP's new party office in Shillong. Amit Shah will be accompanied by Union Tourism Minister KJ Alphonse, who is also the in charge for election in Meghalaya. Now, BJP Minister from Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, BJP spokesperson Narlin Kohli, BJP State President Shibun Lyungdo will be among other top leaders accompanied Amit Shah during his visit. On Sunday, Amit Shah will address a public rally in Ambasa as well as in Udaipur in reft-ruled Tripura. And on the second day of her Indonesia visit, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will meet with the Indonesian President and have an interaction with the representatives of the Indian community there. Arriving in Indonesia on Friday from Thailand, Sushma Swaraj called on Indonesian Vice President Muhammad Yusuf Kalla and also held talks with her Indonesian counterpart to discuss ways to strengthen the strategic partnership between the two nations. India and Indonesia have agreed to work together on the issues of strategic stability. The understanding to this effect was reached in a joint commission meeting between the two nations yesterday. Sushma Swaraj, who is on a three-nation tour, will also visit Singapore and is expected to inaugurate the regional Pravasi Bharatiya Divas of ASEAN countries on 7th of January.
We agreed to develop synergic relationship to harness the potential of the Indo-Pacific region and to meet the challenges that the region faces. We unequivocally condemned terrorism in all its forms, manifestations, irrespective of its motivation and origin. We expressed our strong opposition to any selective approaches to deal with this global menace.
On the bilateral cooperation in the area of political, defense and security cooperation, we discussed ways to broaden our cooperation, including through expediting the finalization of Defense Cooperation Agreement, DCA, implementation of joint development and production in the defense industry, strengthening maritime security cooperation, including cooperation against piracy and illegal fishing.
And now an update on Rajya Sabha polls and scrutiny of nominations will be held today for the upcoming RS biennial polls and by-polls as well. The biennial election for Rajya Sabha will be held for 3 seats from Delhi and 1 from Sikkim. The seats fell vacant on 27th of January as the term of MPs Karan Singh, Janardhan Dwivedi and Parvez Hashmi expires on that day. The by-poll will be held to fill up the Rajya Sabha seat from Uttar Pradesh, which was vacated by Manohar Parrikar after assuming charge as the Goa Chief Minister. And voting and counting of votes will be held on 16th of January. Let's get you all the weather updates. And cold wave continues to grip several states in North India. At least 4 people have died due to intense cold wave in Uttar Pradesh. Sultanpur and Fusratganj witnessed another cold spell with a minimum temperature of 2.8 degrees Celsius. In West Bengal, Sriniketan recorded the lowest temperature at 7.5 degrees Celsius. The national capital experienced temperatures dropping as low as 7.2 degrees Celsius. A blanket of fog enveloped the city, leading to cancellation of several trains and flights. The Met Department has predicted clear skies along with moderate fog today. Himachal Pradesh also experienced a fresh snowfall in high-altitude areas. Kelong recorded a minimum temperature of -8 degrees Celsius, while Manali experienced temperatures of -2.6 degrees Celsius. The Met Office has predicted rains or snow at some places in higher hills today. In Jammu and Kashmir, Gulmarg and Pahalgam witnessed snowfall. Gulmarg recorded a low of -9 degrees Celsius, while Leh in Ladakh region recorded a minimum temperature of -10.3 degrees Celsius. Temperatures in Kargil also dropped to -20.6 degrees Celsius. An avalanche hit a vehicle on the Kupwara road. At least 7 people have been missing after the incident. A search and rescue operation has been launched. Let's get you all the international news. First up, news from the US, where bomb cyclone has dumped snow as far south as Florida and making North America's east coast shiver in a record-breaking freeze. An Arctic blaze brought sub-freezing temperatures, high winds and flooding to the east coast. And the extreme weather has so far linked up with up to 19 deaths in the United States and 2 more in Canada. In parts of US and Canada, temperatures are expected to fall below -29 degrees Celsius. More than 1,200 flights have been cancelled, and the storm has so far forced hundreds of schools and businesses to close in New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, the Carolinas, Maryland and Virginia. In Canada, high winds have knocked out power for tens of thousands of residents in Nova Scotia. Now, with the snowfall ending, temperatures are forecast to continue plummeting into the weekend. And Russia has fiercely criticized the US for convening the United Nations Security Council meet over protests in Iran. Russia's envoy said that involving the council in an internal affair damaged the UN body. A number of other countries also criticized the US for convening the emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council. Iran's ambassador said that the US was abusing its power as a permanent member of the council. France also that any interference in Iran's internal affairs would be counterproductive and that the protests, while worrying, did not threaten international peace and security. Minutes earlier, US Ambassador Nikki Haley praised the protests as a powerful exhibition of brave people. At least 21 people have been killed in the protests in Iran. They broke out in one Iranian city in late December against the state of the economy and quickly spread to dozens of cities with slogans chanting against the government and ruling clerics. On Wednesday, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guards declared the defeat of what he described as sedition in the country.
The United States stands unapologetically with those in Iran who seek freedom for themselves, prosperity for their families, and dignity for their nation. We will not be quiet. No dishonest attempt to call the protesters puppets of foreign powers will change that. The Iranian people know the truth, and we know the truth. They are acting of their own will, on their own behalf, for their own future. Nothing will stop Americans from standing in solidarity with them.
Зачем США постоянный член Совета и один из авторов Устава ООН подрывают авторитет СБ как главного органа, ответственного за поддержание международного мира и безопасности?
The move by the United States to bring to this council protests in Iran by some of our citizens for legitimate grievances, some exacerbated by none other than U.S. itself, in its dereliction of its obligation under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, is an abuse of its power as a permanent member and an abuse of the Council itself.
All other news from the world of sports, and India will take on South Africa today on the second day of the first test match at the Newlands Cricket Stadium in Cape Town. Rohit Sharma and Cheteshwar Pujara will resume India's batting attack today. India were 28 for 3 at the close of the opening day play of the first cricket test against South Africa. Cheteshwar Pujara with the 5 and Rohit Sharma without any score were on the crease when stumps were drawn for the day. Earlier, India dismissed South Africa for a modest first innings total of 286 runs. For South Africa, Verman Dale Steyn and Moni Morkel claimed 1 wicket each. For India, Bhuvneshwar Kumar was the main wicket taker with an analysis of 4 for 87 in 19 overs. R. Ashwin claimed 2 wickets, while Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah and Hardik Pandya took 1 wicket each, while there was 1 run out. The match is scheduled to start at 1:30 p.m. today. And ace French tennis player Gail Simon has advanced to the final of the Tata Open tournament in Pune. And Simon beat world number 6 Marin Cilic 1-6, 6-3, 6-2 in the semi-finals. Now Simon will face South Africa's Kevin Anderson. In the doubles final, the pair of world 8th seed Pierre-Hugues Herbert and Gail Simon will take on Dutch Robin Haase and Matthew Middlecoop. The match will start at 5 p.m. today. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of News. But news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha television. Thanks for your time.